All right, for lesson 4.6, the very last lesson of this unit, we're graphing absolute value functions. Now, what you could always do with graphs is you could build yourself a table. And in fact, that's how you first learned how to graph lines and so forth. So listen, what you could do is just get started by plugging in some very simple numbers in for x, like 0. What's the absolute value of 0? It's 0. And I could plug in a 1. The absolute value of 1 would be 1. And the absolute value of negative 1, I could plug in a negative 1. That would be a 1. So I could plot these points. 0, 0 was the very first one that I had. 1 to the right, 1 up. That's 1 comma 1. Negative 1 comma 1. 1 to the left and up 1. Right here, this gives you a little bit of a hint that the shape of these graphs look like V's. And they do. Every graph that you're doing in this section will look like a letter V or an upside down letter V. It's going to be one or the other. Now, the only catch is your V's can also be translated. They can be shifted left and right, up and down. And that's part of what makes this a little more interesting. So what I'm about to show you is a way that we can graph these functions without a calculator, but then I'm also going to pull up the TI-84, and show you how to do that as well. First, the tip of the V shape is called the vertex. And that's just something that I really want to make sure everyone's aware of. Our first goal is to find that vertex. We're going to get 2 other points from there, and then pretty much we'll be done. But you might think, how do you find the vertex? The vertex will always be linked to the number inside of the absolute value and the number that is added or subtracted after the absolute value. Those 2 numbers will always play a huge, important role. Now, I want to do this quickly. There is a revival of a TV show right now on Fox 32 called X-Files. And some of you maybe have seen it. X-Files was a popular science fiction show back in the 1990s. And I think either this year or last year it was brought back after so many years of being canceled. But it's a strange TV show. It deals with the paranormal. So it deals with UFOs, vampires, ghosts, all types of strange things. Well, what I want you to remember is when it comes to the number right next to X, that's the strange thing. That's X-Files. You see a +2, and you would think, well, I'm going to get an X coordinate. Everybody logically would think, oh, my X coordinate would be a +2. I see a +2. But this is X-Files. This is where things get weird. It's always reverse logic. You have to switch that sign. So I see X +2, but my ordered pair will actually be a -2. Finally, you get over here to the number after the absolute value. Don't change that. You always copy it down exactly as you see it. And guys, that will be the tip of your V. That's your vertex. You could plot that right now. You could say, well, I'm going to go 2 steps to the left, and I'll go 1, 2, 3 steps down. Now, there's one number that we didn't talk about so far, and that was the 4. That's going to affect your slope. Your slope is a 4/1. Remember, slope, you always want to have 2 numbers because it's a rise over run. This will tell you that you have to go up 4 steps, and then you'd have to go right 1. So from this vertex, I'll go back to this point that we just graphed. I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4 steps up, and go 1 step to the right. Now, by symmetry of these V shapes, you could also go 4 steps up and go 1 step to the left. So that's the only little switch. With your slope, you're going to go rise over run, but then you're also going to reverse direction with your run. Instead of going one step to the right, you'll go one step to the left. If you look at this shape right here, you're going to say, hey, that pretty much shows me what this graph looks like. Now listen, I definitely want to give you some extra support in terms of being able to get this thing graphed. Because every once in a while, kids could get a little nervous and say, I think I'm right, but I hope I didn't mix something up. I hope I didn't make some silly mistake. Here's how you can have a safety net, guys. Go to y equals, that's that top left button on your calculator template here on the space plate. You could see the very first thing that you're going to have is y equals 4, but then you need the absolute value bars. And I'm going to go over this a couple of times. First, you're going to have to go to the math button. The math button is 4 buttons below the y equals button. From there, that's not even enough. Now you have a brand new screen. You're going to have to right arrow over to the number menu. So we click over here, and then you see ABS. That is an abbreviation for absolute value. Once you hit that, you'll see 2 bars show up, right? And that's really what you want to see. Then you're going to type in an X plus a 2. I'm going to have to hit the right arrow to get out of those bars, and then I'll hit a -3. And that's how you type it in. I'm going to do it again right now, just in case somebody had some trouble. And so I'm going to go up and I'm going to clear it. What did we do? We hit 4. But to get the absolute value bars, you got to press math. Then you have to right arrow over to the number menu. The very first choice is absolute value. It's written as ABS. Then I'll type X. We'll hit +2. We'll go 1 to the right here, click to the right, and then type our -3. So the cool thing is you could get a graph from this calculator, but look, you also could get a table. The table gives you the actual points. And I suggest that you hit second graph. Remember, we did this a while back. And hey, our vertex should be -2, -3. That is what we're seeing. We see a -2, -3. That's really good news. What we thought should be on the graph is on the graph. You can see right here, it looks like I've got -1, 1. That's what I'm seeing right here. That symmetry. You're always going to get the same y values. -3, 1 would be right here. And that's really your peace of mind that you didn't make a silly mistake. You can also get a picture graphing. You could hit zoom, come down here to number 6, and then you can see that V shape that you should be picking up. So all you got to do, guys, is just get that connected, and you're done. Now we're going to have to walk you through how to do that on Alg, because there are a couple of different sequences that you're going to be doing. Let's real quickly, though, go to the back on that example 2. Finding the vertex is the key. Guys, finding the vertex is so very, very important. So let's do that very, very fast. Remember, it's the number inside the absolute value, and it's the number outside that we're really looking at. So what do you think our vertex is? It's a point. What's our x value? Remember x values. 3. Kids will say, well, wait, I see a -3 in there. I see that -3. Remember x files. X files says whatever number is next to x, change the sign. What about the y coordinate? Don't change that -1. Whatever comes after the absolute value, you keep it the same. You just keep it exactly as it is. Now, you can graph this. You can say, I'm going to go 3 to the right, and I'm going to go down 1, and there's my point, 3, -1. There's my vertex. Now, the slope is negative. Guys, if you get a negative slope, your V is upside down. It opens downward. And you're going to see why in just a second. This -2 tells you that you've got to go 2 steps down and 1 to the right. So I'm going to go 2 down, 1 to the right. I'm also going to go 2 down and go 1 to the left. And right there, you can see that V shape taking place. You can see how it's going. Look, your calculator can be your safety net. And look, what you'd have to start off is with -2. Then you'd hit math. You'd go to number, ABS. I'm going to type x minus a 3. And then I'm going to come over here and do a -1. And if we've done this correctly, we're going to get the same points that I just graphed. I should get a 3, -1. And if you scroll down, you do. You can also see this symmetry here. It looks like I should get 4, -3. That's exactly what I'm coming up with. I should get a 2, -3. That's exactly what I'm coming up with. Now, kids will tell me all the time that once they get the hang of it, they'll say, I can do this way faster by hand compared to doing it with the calculator. Yes. The calculator, though, is another resource for help. It's a safety net for you. You don't have to worry, hey, did I mix something up here? Obviously, finding that vertex would be a great example of fearing that you mixed something up. Speaking of finding a vertex, let's find the vertex for this last one. What do we got here? It would be what, comma what? 4, 2. And I'm going to go 4 to the right. I'm going to go up 2. My slope is 3 over 1. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 steps up, 1 to the right from my vertex. I'll go 1, 2, 3 steps up, 1 to the left. And guys, that's pretty much it. Now, if this was all I showed you, that really wouldn't be ideal at all. Because let's take a look at Alex. Navigating and graphing on Alex is super important. Here's an actual problem that you could see. Look, y equals 2, absolute value of x minus 4, and then a 3. Go to your pencil tool. You tell me, what's your vertex here? It would be what? The x value would be 4. And then don't change the y value. So go to 4, 3. Go to your pencil and just put a dot. Your slope is 2 over 1. So you go up 2, right 1. You could also go up 2, left 1. And right here, it's exactly what we were just doing, graphing those points. Oops. So we're still here. Thank you. So at this point, go to this top right corner of this tool. This is the ray tool. Go to your vertex first, then go to your second point. You always have to start on the vertex and then go to your other point. And guys, then you're done. Okay? And really, that's our video for today, guys.